Welcome to the show, LTMB Live. I keep messing that up for some reason, man. LTMB Live. I am Will Gaylord.
I'm Mike White.
Welcome to the show again. Let the madness begin.
Man, we at it again.
Doing,
I'm doing good. How about you? Well, I mean, that would be kind of a lie.
Yeah. Look.
That would be kind of a lie.
We've had some technical issues yet again to begin with. We did some because we initially were gonna do some broadcasting on Facebook, for the first 15-30 minutes, and then have those people come over to YouTube to watch the rest of the show.
Try to get more bigger audience.
Yeah, of course. That's the goal here. And we did some testing last night on Facebook, try to, correct the problems. Corrected the problems. It was working good. I figured out exactly what we need to do. And then tonight we got new problems. New problems that didn't surface yesterday, and it won't allow us to connect to Facebook. So hey, that's the world in live entertainment, I guess.
I blame Zuckerberg.
I mean, I don't even know what the problem is. I don't even know. I have to do some more testing over the weekend or something because I have no idea. But at least YouTube is working fine, right?
Oh,
I mean, let's make sure everybody.
Yeah, so we got 15 people in the building. What's up? What's up, people?
Is YouTube working fine? Can you hear us? Yeah. Is there, the audio's okay? Let's get some feedback. Wait for this live chat. What's up, everybody? Diesel D's, what's up? Jenny Lynn. Y'all good. All right, Diesel said we good, so I trust my man Diesel. All right, okay.
Kev is back.
Yeah. Okay, Kev's back. Okay. Oh, all right, so we have some news. We've added a feature that we were 98% sure was going to be available today. So looks like we do have a call-in line now. Okay. So it's just it's not a queue. So it's just one person can call at a time.
First come, first serve.
Yeah, first come, first serve. It should work beautifully. We tested it. It should work beautifully. Should.
Yeah. Hang up button works too. So if y'all mug start acting up,
mute button. Yeah, that all works.
And the hang up button that works too. So if you start acting up,
getting little rumbunctions. We can
mute you from the
stream.
For that.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll leave that number up so that you can see what it is, and it'll be right there. But anyway, let's get to the show. All right. So first, we're gonna talk about the state of American politics right now. Okay. So right now there's a lot of battles going on in Congress. And there's battles within the Republican Party, there's battles within the Democratic Party as well. But recently, especially after Charlottesville, Virginia, and the mayhem, the tragedy that we saw there, there's been a lot of emphasis put on race, race relations and hatred and all that. And Trump's comments about it has just exacerbated it. Yeah, a lot of people feel that he didn't come out as a leader and really put to bed the people that do follow him.
Contradicted himself.
Yeah, he contradicted himself. Yeah. So a lot of Republicans came out and said that what he's doing is really dividing the country. Of course, Democrats said the same thing.
That's one thing that's interesting about that is I think a lot of Trump supporters are in denial about that. They're making it like, the left is just trying to hold on to anything that they can negative. I'm like, well, how do you explain Republicans coming out about him? Whether I agree with them or not, like the reality is he has a lot of oppositions within his own party. Yeah. So the whole left-right paradigm we're talking about Trump, you can't just hang all opposition to him on the left. You got to be realistic. You know what I'm saying? I think it makes him feel better just to, continue that same old party war thing.
Party politics.
So
we talked about that before.
Is a lot of, a division within the Republican Party about Trump. You know what I'm saying? So especially with this issue, they make it sound like it's just the left, you know, criticizing him when it's not. And don't we have good reason to criticize him? And it's not. I think if you compartmentalize the issue, then you simplify it. Let's not act like he doesn't have like a particular track record that kind of acts as, I guess, it exaggerates the comments he made about Charlottesville. He has a track record about saying certain things
and offending people.
Yeah, and kind of covering people with blanket statements. So you know, it's not just about this kind of one issue. It's a cumulative effect. Right.
And specifically, like you were talking about within conservatives, Republicans, again, there's a lot of infighting, and Donald Trump is feuding with people like McConnell, and it seems like a childish, infantile, like a baby battle that's going on. They haven't met for a few weeks, and it seems to be stemming from the Republicans' inability to get rid of Obamacare. And I guess he's putting that all on Mitch McConnell and saying that, look, you know, you've been talking about this for years, and look, you didn't get it done.
Well, that's another one of those situations where, you know, Trump assumed, because Republicans control, you see what I'm saying? He assumed,
because a lot of people
the House and the Senate, that it was always going to be a shoe-in.
Easy fix, first thing that we do.
But then it's like, you know, he forgot that, yo, some of these mugs want to get reelected, and they didn't want to, like, and see, that's the thing, like that should tell you it wasn't a good bill when Republicans didn't want to repeal it.
Because why?
Replace the bill.
Well, no, first of all, they wanted to replace it. That failed. And then they were like, well, you know what? We're just going to get rid of it without replacing it. And then that failed too. But I mean, like, how could I guess as a Republican, you can say you did the wrong thing, but for your constituents, putting millions of people out of health care, that's not going to be a good look, no matter what political party you represent.
So it's like they had to like say, dang, it's like, it's interesting that they had to like buckle down and, damn, I can't play party politics right now. And like, damn, I can't do this right now. I have to have a little bit of a conscience right now.
Yeah, just a small one.
Trump was hoping that they didn't have a conscience.
Yeah,
just because he wanted that label of taking down Obamacare and replacing it and fulfilling his campaign promise. That's probably, again, why he's kind of lashing out like a big baby at Republicans, because he was kind of talking about that this entire time.
Right.
So
there's a few deadlines that are coming up at the end of September that are important. And that's one, raising the debt ceiling, and two, funding the government. So these are important because, well, one, raising the debt ceiling, that would help the U.S. to pay all of its bills. If they don't do it, then they can default on their loans, on the bills that are due, and it could even lower the bond rating that the U.S. has. So both sides, Democrats and Republicans, they want to raise the debt ceiling, but like you were talking about party politics, right? There's this like tug of war that's going on every single time this kind of thing comes up, spending bills, anything like that. What do they want to do?
They use the debt ceiling to hold each other hostage.
Exactly. They try to get some leverage and say, okay, well, so the Republicans right now, most of them anyway, few are like, let's do a clean bill and just raise the debt ceiling. Few of them are like that. Most of the Republicans want to tie it to like restricting spending that the Democrats obviously oppose. But the thing about it is, to raise the debt ceiling, they need 60 votes for yes. Okay? So there are 52 Republicans in Congress. They need 8 Democrats. There's two independents, but they caucus with the Democrats, so we just call them Democrats anyways. But they need 8 more. So the Democrats really kind of have some kind of leverage to say, hey, you know,
Republicans are
we're not just going to agree to this.
They're going to have to give, the Democrats something that they want. And actually, that's how it should be.
Well, you know what?
That's how it should be.
No. I'm gonna disagree with you there.
What you mean?
It should be clean.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Well, you're saying outside of that.
Outside of that.
Okay, yeah, okay.
If there's going to be some sort of negotiations, like, it shouldn't be one-sided.
Right.
It shouldn't be.
No doubt. But we know. So the last time this happened was was it the last time? I know this happened in 2013
with the.
They shut down the government. That was the part of funding the government. It wasn't about the debt ceiling. It was about funding the government. And they let the government shut down for, I believe it was 16 days. And that was all over the battle of Obamacare, because, of course, the Republicans have been trying to repeal Obamacare.
Because they couldn't win.
Since Obama, since it came in.
They couldn't win.
And they couldn't win. After 16 days, they gave up and, they funded the government. Now, they got criticized plenty because of it. Because, one, it was a futile effort. They didn't win. They didn't get anything out of it, but costing government employees 16 days of work, So it's a bad look. So I'm sure they don't want to see that happen again. I'm sure the Democrats don't want to see that happen again either. But again, they're going to have to come together and actually, come together on something that they can both agree on. That's why I say they're not, and this is why I hate party politics. This is why I hate both Republicans and Democrats. Because the best thing for the country would be to just raise the debt ceiling on a clean bill. Don't attach it to anything.
Yeah, but Republicans want to add either add stuff or take stuff away.
Yep. That's what they try to do. So anyway, that's the end of September. So, we'll see what happens with that. But what's making the situation worse is the president, Donald Trump. He's what's making the situation worse. So, to fund the government, he's attaching something else to it. He wants something done.
I wonder what that is.
He wants something done.
Wonder what that. I guarantee you, the people who are watching this live show or in the chat, they could probably take one guess and get it right.
It's a big something.
A big, a 30-foot something.
Yeah, 30 foot wide something. Beautiful.
And
beautiful.
And transparent in certain areas.
Yeah, right.
See-through.
Yeah, but he wants a wall. He's still on this. It's a sticking point with him. He wants this wall. So recently at the rally that he held in Phoenix, Arizona, just a few days ago, he mentioned this, and this was his quote. He said, "Believe me, if we have to close down our government, we're building that wall." So this fool is like, I don't care. Let's shut down the government. As long as I get my wall, I'm cool.
To him, that wall is it's his own personal pet project. That's what it is. And
this is it's his signature. That's what he wants to be remembered for.
Yes,
he wants his name on it.
He does.
He does. All over the wall.
Because he's all about putting his name on buildings, his name on products. That's what he does.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where it feeds his ego and his narcissism, and that's the only reason why he wants to do it.
But let's talk about this wall, okay? And we've talked about this before. It's been debated to death, really. But it was surprising when he said it before. I mean, it's still surprising now. And when I say, surprising probably is not the best word, because I'm not surprised that he would, try to castigate, a whole race of people.
Right.
I'm not surprised by that. But we know the facts about it. Okay, so. One, it can cost anywhere. I mean, estimates are ranging from $10 billion, $20 billion. I've heard more than $20 billion. All for a wall. Now, we already have a fencing system, and they've already made upgrades to it. I believe this year, they put some money towards it.
He's added more border security.
Yes, border security, all that. But no, he wants a big fat 30-foot wall. Okay, so it's going to cost billions of dollars. Now, when we take a look at illegal immigration, there are more Mexicans leaving the country than are coming into this country.
So it's a net negative.
It's a net negative. So
it's been steadily going down.
For years. It's been steadily going down. It was reaching a peak years ago, maybe 2006, I believe it reached a peak. Since then, I believe it's been steadily going down.
So like the open borders thing is a myth.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because you know, the border security has been increased, the fencing system upgraded, whatever, you know, and it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so if you say it's a problem, but it's a decreasing problem, why would you want to spend billions of dollars on it when taking into account that what is increasing is people coming into the country through a visa, legally coming into the country, but overstaying that visa and just staying here. So they're undocumented immigrants as well.
So how come we don't tackle the problem like from that angle? You know what I'm saying?
Because that's a rising problem.
And actually, wouldn't that kind of be that would be more administrative and not like hands-on? You don't have to have all these field agents out on, you know what I'm saying, out trying to protect physically the border. This is more of an administrative thing where you can kind of look people up by their visa, and you can say, oh, that's expired, rather than trying to like profile people or trying to catch physical people on the border, which is hard.
But it's easier though. Well, you know what? Not in theory, but what's going on right now is the effort to catch people illegally crossing over. That effort is high. You know, a lot of focus is being put on that. But people that come here legally, is INS going to these addresses like every month? Okay, we're just making sure you're still here. Okay, all right, okay. And then when their time is up, are they going to these addresses to escort them out the country?
And they're on file. No. They're on file. So wouldn't that be the easier thing to do rather than try to like look for needles in a haystack?
But they're not doing it.
Random needles in a haystack too.
Yeah, I know.
Not specific needles.
And a lot of these people coming in are coming by plane as well. Not by land, by plane.
So like the image of people scurrying over is not as prevalent as a lot of people think.
I believe if one wants to talk about illegal immigration, it probably would make sense to talk about the people that are overstaying their visas, because that seems to be the problem that's increasing. If you're saying it's a problem, that's what's increasing. People coming through the Mexican border, that's decreasing.
Like, we already know why a lot of people kind of believe that narrative about immigrants kind of like hopping the wall, digging under the wall, whatever, crossing the border physically through the border. Like, you know, but what would be Trump's reason for kind of putting that narrative on hyperdrive? Like, other than just him wanting to fund his pet project?
Well, like, then you have to take into account his language, because on the campaign trail last year, you remember how he said these people that are coming into the country through the Mexican border, not the best, not the brightest. They're criminals, they're rapists, drug dealers, murderers, all of that, right? He took a lot of flack for that, right?
The wall represents his monument, his monument to bigotry. Exactly, and that's all.
And let's just
even if it's not effective, it kind of it almost, like, I guess, satisfies his bigotry to think that it's effective, and it satisfies the bigotry of his base. Like, it makes them, even though it is not really making them safer, they feel safer because they think all of those things that Trump said about Mexicans are true. Right. So it makes them feel safe.
But they're not true, though.
They're not. Yeah, they're not true.
They're not true, because actually Americans, Americans right here, born and bred here, have a higher rate of crime, a way higher rate of crime than people that are not citizens. So then, to know that information, why would you still?
Because
why would you still categorize these certain people as rapists, as murderers, as drug dealers.
Because bigotry
not the best, not the brightest.
Bigotry doesn't rely on facts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those type of attitudes. First of all, you
just got to stimulate people.
It's not like they have that attitude because it got rationale got them there. You know, like you know what I'm saying? Like reason got them there. No, it's like reason didn't get them to that attitude. So facts and reason are not going to get them out. You know what I'm saying?
So basically, Donald Trump is a big fat liar. I mean, kind of. I mean, he's a big fat liar. Not in the sense that he's because I can take that different ways.
The thing is, it's kind of hard to tell because he's a businessman, so you don't know if he's saying this to like appeal to the base because he knows what they like to hear.
Oh, he's doing that.
Yes. Does he really believe it?
Does he really believe it?
And that's the thing. I think it's a little bit of both. I do think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think it's one or the other.
Well, I'm gonna go with it's both.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with it's both. And just to illustrate that too, let's talk more about his speech in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona. Now you saw the whole video. I couldn't get through that whole video.
Oh, I
couldn't get through the whole thing. I saw a lot of it, but there were clips. I kept going through clips of it.
Two people are able to sit through it together as friends or a couple. Y'all committed. I will say that. Usually if I have to watch something and I have to observe it and take notes, I'm just like
it's hard to get through it, man.
I was like, okay, I got that. Like I seriously, like 1 minute in, I was like,
I remember
1 minute in.
I remember seeing some of his, well, not even some. I remember seeing this one rally before the election, and I just couldn't even get through it, man. It was such total nonsense. But see, and he trails off into different points. He doesn't finish stuff.
I will say he did much better as far as like speaking clearly. I mean, with the teleprompter. So he did a good job of that. So that I didn't have to worry about. What I had to worry about is like the introduction to Donald Trump, because the first speaker was Ben Carson. I call him Benzino. Like the second speaker was Velveeta. I mean Alvia. Third speaker was, I think it was Franklin Graham, and then came Pence, and then came Trump.
Yeah, you didn't tell me about Franklin Graham was on there.
I didn't.
Nah, you said it was those two, and then came Pence. I didn't see all that.
Maybe I tried to erase my memory.
Yeah, you looked him out.
Maybe I just blocked everything out, but like it was bizarre, man. It was bizarre. Like of course, Ben Carson started out with talking about how great America is, and it's our ingenuity and our wherewithal, and that very like children's storybook version of American greatness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think he glossed over like everything. Like he was, talking about how we came from nothing and we were the pinnacle of the world now, so faster than ever before. And you know how we got there, Will? You know how we got there? You know how we got from nowhere to this pinnacle so fast? Because of our can-do attitude. That's all it took. Our can-do attitude. That's all it takes to become a superpower.
You know what? That doesn't even surprise me though, because I was just reading a piece about Ben Carson, and he was this is post him being the head of HUD, and he was talking about slavery. He was talking about how the slaves that came over were immigrants as well. I was like, what immigrants? That's a mighty. He
likes to. That's what I call that kind of like that soft bigotry.
Yeah, it's like easing history on by. It's like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Exactly. It makes him feel better. And then of course he had like his little message about I don't know what he's like, fill our hearts with knowledge and not ignorance. Fill our brains with like he was just like it was just a typical Ben Carson, and then it didn't help that like Velveeta followed him.
Velveeta, man, that's gonna stick, man.
And she like do like a prayer. She even sung, and then like really nobody was singing with her, so it was kind of awkward. She even like took a shot at humanism. Yeah, she took a shot at humanism and like social justice. She also, you know, she put her little religious spin on it, and she said something about the monuments.
Oh boy!
But she said both the erecting of the monuments, the constructing, and the tearing down is idolatry. It's both idolatry. The construction of the monuments and the tearing down of the monuments is a form of idolatry. I'm like, no, the construction of them is the idolatry, and the worship of them is the idolatry, which is weird because later on in the rally, Trump went on to say, well, they're trying to take our history away with those monuments by taking down the monuments. So I'm like, it was just the whole kind of, if you just like examine the rally in its totality, it was bizarre because there was just a lot of contradicting. Like it was just a big contradiction. They all contradicted each other. I mean,
well, going back to the part where Donald Trump is a big fat liar. Look, there was really no other way, or there was not a better way to lump videos together to show you that. Now This did an excellent video showing how full of shit Donald Trump is, right? So I want to show you that video. If you haven't seen this, this is a pretty good video.
Truly dishonest people in the media and the fake media, they make up stories. Did they report that I said that racism is evil?
Racism is evil.
They don't put on those words, and they don't put on me saying those words.
Racism is evil.
You know why? Because they are very dishonest people. A lot of people in here, a lot of people pouring in right now. They can get them in. Whatever you can do, Fire Marshal, we'll appreciate it. Oh, that's so funny. Look back there. The live red lights, they're turning those suckers off fast out there. They're turning those lights off fast. They're turning those lights off fast. Like CNN does not want its falling viewership to watch what I'm saying tonight, I can tell. And just so you know, from the Secret Service, there aren't too many people outside protesting, okay?
This guy's going down. This is what they do.
And I'm really doing this more than anything else, because you know where my heart is. Okay. I'm really doing this to show you how damn dishonest these people are.
It's weird because it's like no matter what he does, like, and it doesn't matter what is apparent and what's obvious, is his supporters will just believe what he says regardless.
Regardless, man. He doesn't have to offer proof. He just has to say it. I mean, you remember him on the campaign train saying, on the campaign trail saying that he could shoot somebody in the middle of whatever street he was talking about, Times Square, I believe, and he wouldn't lose any votes. These people are idiots.
Well, because his supporters. He would probably find a way to justify it, and anything.
His supporters
would
do it for him.
His supporters would do it for him. There was a lot of that like going on at that rally, because it's weird how like all the speakers, including him, talked about bigotry and doing away with it and getting away from the past, but then like and coming together. But yeah, and you know, he talked about the lying media and how they're at fault for everything. But I'm just like, and when he was on his little self-defense segment, trying to defend himself about Charlottesville and his comments and how he was the victim of, you know, his media hit pieces.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it was funny because he couldn't even be honest about that. He actually didn't quote himself entirely.
No.
He did that purposefully.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that too, because we got video of that, because we want to see exactly what he said then at the rally, and then what he said his first statement after Charlottesville happened. And let's just get to that right now, man. So at the rally, this is what he said that he did say in his first statement.
So here is my first statement when I heard about Charlottesville. And I have a home in Charlottesville. A lot of people don't know. Here's the first. Can't believe they haven't figured that one out yet. Now they know. Now they finally know. But I don't want to bore you with this. But it shows you how dishonest they are. And most of you know this anyway. So here's what I said, really fast. Here's what I said on Saturday. We're closely following the terrible events unfolding in Charlottesville, Virginia. This is me speaking. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. That's me speaking on Saturday, right after the event.
All right. Now, this is the video of him actually speaking right after Charlottesville.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides.
So, before we get to the heart of that, right? Why the hell is he talking about his home in Charlottesville like that means anything? I told you this much just trails off.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? He has a home, so
whatever he said about it is going to be true.
Yeah,
because that's he has a home there.
Yeah,
so
he's a resident.
He's
so
a resident.
He must be speaking the truth.
He's a resident there, so he must know what he's talking about. Like, but let's like, why was he asked to comment in the first place and make a statement? Why was he asked to make a statement?
And we went over this because there was a death.
Okay.
Because somebody took a car, used it as a weapon, and mowed down people. 1 death, 20 injured, I believe. That's why it was a national story. Like we said before, there was a rally here, a KKK rally here, 2015. Now, there were some news outlets that covered it, but I wouldn't call it national news, and I damn sure know that President Obama didn't say not one damn word about it, because it just wasn't a national story. Nobody died. There was some fights. There was a lot of chaos. Nobody died. It would have been the same way in Charlottesville, Virginia, if nobody died.
So
if nobody used a car as a weapon.
So basically, with that being the context of why he was asked to make statements, to kind of whitewash it and just make a blanket statement and say, you know, there was bigotry and violence on many sides without being a little more nuanced.
Right.
That's what people had a problem with. And also, was Heather's side responsible for the bigotry or violence? Were the people who got hit, the other 19 people who got hit, or were they responsible for the violence?
No.
Was Cornel West's group there? Since it was many sides. It was all sides. So you're saying that Cornel West and the people he was with, he's to blame too. Now, I think the problem is, it's like, it creates this false dichotomy, and I think it's purposeful to kind of like present it as a situation where there were only 2 groups, where you have, you know, the white supremacists, and then you have the people who are your more aggressive counter protesters, which essentially they're a drop in the bucket compared to those that aren't. So when you say it's violence and bigotry on all sides, you were kind of that kind of statement acts as an eraser to all those other groups that were there that didn't do anything, didn't have any contact with the white supremacists. You know what I'm saying?
Now, and remember too that in his, I believe it was his second speech, he referred to the side of the people, whether you want to call everybody on that side neo-Nazis or white supremacists, white nationalists, whatever. The people that wanted the people. See, and that's the thing. let me clarify this. It wasn't like there was some announcement that was like, "Hey, let's all get together and protest the Robert E. Lee statue being removed," without the hate element. No, exactly. It was a hate arrangement. So it wasn't like, oh, it was just some good people that were protesting the removal of the statue. But he called them. He said that there were some fine people on that side. That's what he said. Again, so that's disturbing too.
Yes, that's disturbing.
He didn't say that about the other side.
And the thing is, again, the problem with it is if you're going to call out all sides, which I have no problem with if you do that accurately, but when you just make a blanket statement and say bigotry and violence, he is not actually being accurate. No. If he wants to talk about bigotry, there's only bigotry on one damn side.
Right.
If you want to say violence,
it's not equal.
The bigotry, that's more ideologically based. There's only one side that were bigots that were there. Sorry. Now, if you want to talk about violence, yeah, you can talk about some, let's say some. I saw some people that wanted to be more aggressive with the white nationalists. I saw that, but they weren't. A lot of them weren't with a group. No. Like, or if you want to say, oh, Antifa was there, fine. I don't care. All right. If you want to talk about violence, let's talk about violence. But when you just say violence and bigotry as if it's like equal across the board, then you lose me. And I don't even, he never knows what he's talking about, and he ends up making himself look like a white supremacist apologist if he isn't one already.
Well, that's the view. I mean, that's what it looks like. And we on our Facebook page, we shared some image. It was like a cartoon image of him holding the hands of neo-Nazis and KKK members and stuff like that. And the caption was, "We shall overcome," right? And there was a lot of hate. Like, we were inciting, we were race baiting now. No, because that's exactly the kind of thought that you could get from examining his actions and his words. That's what I see. But it's not just this incident. You got to go back all the way on the campaign trail.
On the campaign trail.
Yes.
It's cumulative. When he was talking about, he used some story, and within the story, he used like he analogized like snakes with Mexicans. You remember that? Or like we already said this before about, the rapists, the murderers, and the drugs. And even during this rally, when he was kind of justifying like his defense of Sheriff Joe Arpaio, that was probably the climactic moment for that rally for me, because what is Sheriff Joe Arpaio guilty of? What is he guilty of?
Racial profiling.
Racial profiling. So you have Trump, who name dropped him. And then he was like, Sheriff Joe.
Let's show the video. Yeah, let's show the video.
Do the people in this room like Sheriff Joe? Was Sheriff Joe convicted for doing his job? That's what. He should have had a jury, but you know what? I'll make a prediction. I think he's going to be just fine, okay? But I won't do it tonight because I don't want to cause any controversy. Is that okay? All right?
And that part of the rally sickened me more than any other part, because he was terrorizing Latinx people for over a decade. And he was profiling.
He was on the job for what, 24 years?
Yeah, he was terrorizing them, and Trump got an entire crowd of his followers to applaud that, to applaud that. And then, of course, you don't get bigotry without following it with some sort of justification. And that's when he started talking about ruthless gangs and murderers and what they do to people. I'm like, oh, I see. So all illegal immigrants are like ruthless drug dealers and gang members. And I was like, I see how you do that. So that's what leads me to believe he is a bigot, because he does the same thing after he articulates his bigotry. He follows it with justification.
He talks about Sheriff Joe Arpaio like he's some good dude,
ooh,
right?
glowing terms.
He says he pretty much was convicted, or he's in this mess because he was doing his job. He wasn't doing his job. He was failing to do his job. Multiple court decisions, multiple court orders were saying, yo, stop racially profiling these Hispanic people. He completely ignored all those court orders. So finally, a court said, you know what, man? You know what, Arpaio? That's it, man. That's it. You're going to jail. That's it. You're guilty. Because he's in contempt of court. Right. So it's not like, it's not like this is some good dude that was trying to do the right thing. No, he was indiscriminately racially profiling Hispanics, but he calls it doing his job. He even said that he should have had a jury trial. There was no reason for a jury trial because the court orders were there and he was ignoring them. There was no need for a jury. A judge could say you're guilty because you are failing to uphold the court rulings.
And see, it just doesn't see, and that's the thing. Like again, throughout the entire rally, it was all about moving past bigotry and getting over the past, all that stuff. And of course, he defended himself, I guess because he was called out for being racist or a bigot, whatever. But then it's like, he claims that he's against all that stuff. He claims he's against bigotry. He claims he's a proponent of, seeing people as equals, but yet he follows those words up with praise of someone who was proven
to be a bigot.
Exactly. See, so it's like, I just don't get it. He did the same thing with the Charlottesville, like immediately following his little 20-minute self-defense ceremony. He said something about the monuments, like they need to be up and they're destroying our history. I'm like, how can you have it both ways? Exactly. How can you defend monuments that represent slavery, represent genocide for another group of people, then say, well, I'm not a bigot? How can you say that? I'm like, yo, are you you lack that much self-awareness? And I say, you know what? I think it's a little bit of both. Because remember, we had a conversation about this probably last week, about like I guess what is the supply side? Like, what's the supply side to someone's position? Like, what's the supply side? Like, are they like a bigot or a racist because they're dumb, and their dumbness made them more, I guess, vulnerable to get to that place? Or like are they just a bigot and then they create dumb statements? Like, which is it?
Which came first?
Yeah, which came first? Because if you're a bigot, you have to, or if you're a bigot or a racist or a sexist or whatever, you kind of have to validate your ideas or your attitude by taking dumb positions. You see what I'm saying? So you have to look dumb. Doesn't mean you're dumb. You just have to look dumb because your arguments have to be dumb. But like I said, which is it? But sometimes just dumb people end up, traveling over to bigotry because they're just dumb and they're vulnerable and they're easily manipulated. Sometimes I can't tell which one, what's the supply side for him. I don't know.
Really, ultimately, it doesn't matter because he looks dumb. And it looks like he's apologizing for these hate groups.
And not to focus on Trump, because I don't want to get tunnel vision, but it seems as if all those people at that rally kind of followed the same line of thinking.
Well, no, they're sheep. They're sheep.
Sheep, as in
I mean, they might have these inner feelings the same way. I mean, of course, it takes a certain type of people, a certain type of person, for Trump to, I guess, influence. It takes a certain type of person. So, yeah, it's in them, but him saying all these things, I mean, they don't need any validation.
But it's crazy.
They don't need any reasoning.
But it's crazy how earlier in the rally there was all this prayer about seeing each other, you know, respecting each other,
but
and
they don't see it like
respecting people from other backgrounds and countries and doing all that.
But
like,
they see Sheriff Joe Arpaio as doing the right thing. Because he's going after people that are not supposed to be here. That's the right thing to do. Even though he's indiscriminately doing it. And don't you just love how Trump ended that whole statement on Arpaio too? Hey, I'm not going to make an announcement here. I don't want there to be any controversy. But, you know, I predict he's going to be just fine. As in, just saying that doesn't create the controversy. He's just gonna be fine. So somebody that breaks the law repeatedly, he's going to pardon.
I thought he
repeatedly.
Said, I thought,
and discriminates against Americans.
But see, that's the point. He kind of equated all of illegal immigrants with criminals,
right?
So they instantly become un-American.
It's disgusting, man. It's disgusting.
But that's kind of funny how he takes that position with Arpaio, and he's always talking about being the law and order president.
He can't be the law and order president if he's willing to pardon somebody that consistently broke the law, did it brashly. I mean, just
that's interesting that you say that now, and that makes me think of something else he talked about in the rally, and that's him talking about all those people that got thrown out
of his rallies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like because that goes along with the theme of the rally, so he kind of has to, like, I guess, refocus people's attitude about him as one of someone who's fair. So the way he does that is to paint all those people that were assaulted at his rallies as thugs.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said thugs.
Like that's that justification again.
I remember
he used the word thug.
I remember people being punched that weren't doing anything, that were there to protest Donald Trump, but wasn't getting into arguments with the other Trump supporters. Was there maybe with a shirt on that had something anti-Trump or something like that. Remember the black lady, the young black lady that was being pushed out by the old white man?
Man, dude got punched.
Yeah.
He's walking up the stairs.
Walking up the stairs,
just stand up and punched him.
These are thugs.
Those are the thugs. Again, he's doing the same thing that he did when he was talking about Mexicans. You have to paint these people as the dangerous ones to justify anything that's bad that's done to them. That's why he talked about. He spoke about his condemning the hostility towards law enforcement. What is that about? Right. So there's a lot of blatant kind of statements he made. Yeah. But there's also kind of a lot of like kind of more obscure statements that kind of reveal his total attitude about something, and that was one of them.
I'll show you something that wasn't obscure. And this was before he was elected president. And see, this, like you were talking about, it's all a pattern. You have to take all of the things that he said and all the things that he's done and put them all together, and you'll get a pretty clear picture of who he is or who he's trying to protect. Okay, so this was a picture that Trump tweeted in November of 2015. Okay, USA crime statistics 2015. Blacks killed by whites, 2%. Blacks killed by police, 1%. Whites killed by police, 3%. Whites killed by whites, 16%. Whites killed by blacks, 81%. Blacks killed by blacks, 97%. Okay? So this is what he tweeted out. He retweeted it in 2015, November 2015. Okay? Now, at the time that he tweeted it out, 2015 crime statistics were not released. The only statistics that were available were in 2014. So if you take a look at the FBI's statistics and match them up to this, well, you get a difference. So Trump's number for blacks killed by whites was 2%, right? FBI says it was 8%. Not that big of a difference. Okay. Blacks killed by blacks, 97% was what the Trump image said. It's actually 90% in 2014. Okay. Still 6-7% difference. Not that big. Okay. Now, whites killed by whites. The Trump number was 16%. 16% of white people kill other white people. That didn't even sound right.
First of all, it doesn't even sound right when you look at the other statistics.
Yes, right.
It doesn't add up.
So the FBI statistic for 2014, 82%. Oh, now how could if you were looking at actual statistics, how could you get it that wrong?
He forgot to carry the one.
Yeah, and it gave him just a crazy number.
Yeah.
And then the last one, whites killed by blacks. Trump number was 81%. It was actually 15%. So the numbers that have the most difference
are the numbers that have
to do with
black people.
Yeah, well, it has to do with white people getting killed.
Yeah.
And who's doing the killing.
So, like, am I supposed to like ignore that? And like, and again, this is like in context. During the rally, he talked about the news media lying. He talked about the news media being the biggest liars and fueling this division.
Talking about dishonest media,
fueling the division.
He was lying about it was a big room, and the live red lights are turning off.
He says
CNN don't want to show this.
He said the media, they're the ones giving bigotry a platform.
Right.
They're the ones doing that, but. Right. I'm sorry, Trump is the one doing that 24/7.
Clearly.
Including at this rally.
And take another look at this picture too. You see at the bottom, side of the bottom of this picture right here. It says source, Crime Statistics Bureau. Fiction. Doesn't exist. Complete fiction.
Oh, so that's fake news, if you say?
Oh, you mean he spread fake news.
He spread fake news.
But that's what he claims CNN, MSNBC, anyone except Fox News pretty much.
Oh yeah, he praised Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
He praised Sean Hannity.
Yeah. Fox and Friends. He loves Fox and Friends too. He likes Fox and Friends.
Yeah. That's the best show.
Yeah. It's the best show.
That's probably because he watches it like 6 hours.
It's because they're nice to him. He likes who likes him. That's what it is. You like Trump, he likes you. That's it. But this is why you have to. I mean, if you're being honest, is he a neo-Nazi?
Yeah, I know, because like I think like it's a wash to me because like
I wouldn't call him that.
I wouldn't call him that, but like let's be honest, it's like I think pretty much all the presidents that's been thrown out actually at all the presidents. It has, and it's interesting like for people to get bent out of shape about like what Trump is called. It didn't. What's the chick on Fox News? Fox and Friends, the blonde chick. They're all blonde.
That doesn't give me a lot of detail.
She got her feelings hurt.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, you want to go to the clip?
Yeah. It connects to that, man.
All right, so let's go to this clip. Okay, so the show. Okay, you're talking about Outnumbered. The show is Outnumbered on Fox News. And so they were talking about the monuments, and they were talking about just everything that's been happening since Charlottesville happened. And Juan Williams was on the show talking to him. So let's just show you the clip, and you can see how ridiculous this is.
People who fought in World War II against Nazis in a U.S. uniform did not want to hear both sides have something to say here. People who slammed the plane into the buildings here in Manhattan, 9/11.
He didn't say both sides have something to say. He said both sides have blame.
Yeah, I don't think that both sides have blame.
A weapon, it had a part in the violence.
No, if you're a patriot and you show up to stand up for American values and say that it is wrong to be racist and to stand outside a synagogue with automatic machine guns and scare the Jewish people inside, I think that is not to be equivocal.
You're talking about something totally different. No one said equivocal. No one said equal, and that's one of the places where this went off the rails. He never said equal.
Said there were very good people among the neo-Nazi protesters. He did. Don't roll your eyes. He did say those words.
He didn't say there were very good people among neo-Nazi protesters.
He said there were very good people on the other side.
There are people that were opposed.
It was clear what he was talking about.
Look, can I tell you this? I am so uncomfortable having this conversation, and that's what this woman said before this, because I know what's in my heart, and I know that I don't think anyone is different, better, or worse based on the color of their skin. But I feel like there is nothing any of us can say right now without being judged.
Well, she got all up in her emotions there. She got all up in her emotions.
So apparently, you have to say the word equal. You have to say the word. He didn't say the word. What? Why is she getting?
That's the question. Why are you crying? Why is Melissa Francis crying about this conversation? Right before that, she was saying that there were people there that opposed the statue being taken down. But like I said earlier,
what is that based on?
But it was based on hate, though.
Yes.
It was based on hate. It wasn't like this was some announcement. Hey, everybody that doesn't want to see this statue getting taken down, meet us at the park. We're going to protest it. No, it had an element of hate involved.
And
it was clear.
What about the night before?
The rally. I mean, well, the march. Jews will not replace us. White lives matter. There was a clear element of hate for this
and like
for this event.
Like I said.
So how could you try to sugarcoat it and say that, oh no, there was some people there that just wanted the statue to remain. They weren't hateful.
Let's look at kind of her kind of overall outlook on it. Like first of all, you have a national platform. She has a national platform where she does what? She basically offers commentary and her opinion about things she hears and things she sees.
Right.
So she offers her judgment every day on a national platform. So she's getting mad because she doesn't want, it's not even about her, but people are judged because of what they say. Oh my gosh, people are judged because of what they say? Go figure.
All the time.
Especially
if you put your face and your opinion
especially
out there.
if you are a host on a show. She's constantly putting her opinion out, which is fine, but she's making it like people can't judge somebody for what they say and do. Yeah, you can.
But see, she feels attacked, right? She feels attacked. Now, and she's saying that at this point, there's nothing anybody can do. I just feel so judged. But check this out, right? If your position is that these monuments, these statues that are being honored, praised, it's a prideful thing. These statues aren't there to represent a dark time. No. Who gets a statue? Somebody that is being honored, something that is being honored. So if your position is that these should remain, that they're good for society, they're good for this America, for unity, for everybody being equal, for things being fair in this country, to move on to a real situation where there is no racial divide, then you have to be judged. You have to be judged. Because you're not speaking intelligently.
If these monuments represent individuals that were advocates of a racial divide, you wanting these monuments to stay, not just stay, you thinking they mean something, to me, kind of makes you an ideological match to those people.
That's right. Like the question would have to be posed to them. Why are you taking this fight up? Why is it important to you? Why is it important?
Oh no, again, she's talking about Trump. This is the aftermath of the rally. Again, it was just full of irony and contradiction because during the rally, they talked about moving on from the past.
But how can you move on from the past while holding on to the past with a very tight grip?
Well, again, his campaign slogan was "Make America Great Again." Move forward by moving back.
So, again, this is all over the news. Everybody's talking about this. Mike Pence, the VP, he was on Fox and Friends talking about this issue too, the monuments, the statues. Here's what he had to say.
Some are calling for the Confederate monuments at the Capitol to be taken down. Do you agree?
It's important that we remember our past and build on the progress that we've made. The United States Capitol, every state is able to donate 2 statues to commemorate citizens that they want remembered in the heart of our government. And states can make those decisions. What we have to walk away from is a desire by some to erase parts of our history just in the name of some contemporary political cause.
So you're in favor of keeping those monuments?
I think that, obviously, I think that should always be a local decision, and with regard to the U.S. Capitol, should be state decisions. But I'm someone who believes in more monuments, not less monuments. What we ought to do is we ought to remember our history, but we also ought to celebrate the progress that we've made since that history.
All right, man. Where I mean,
there's so many places. There's so many places to go. He began saying by, "We want to remember our past and build on it." Okay. Nobody has said that we should not remember our past, and he even a little bit later. That's what he said. He said that people are interested in erasing our history. Nobody has made that argument.
No.
Nobody has even said that about slavery. Nobody wants to forget that it happened.
Yo, where's your high school yearbook?
My high school yearbook.
Where's it at?
It's in a box in storage.
Yeah, it's in a box somewhere. Yo, what year did we graduate?
Damn.
What year did we graduate?
Did I graduate with you?
I don't know, dog. Who are you? What?
How do we even meet?
How do we even meet?
It's stupid.
Do you know? Wait, I dropped on the blank. I don't remember anybody from my class.
So
it's been erased because it's in a box somewhere.
So with that logic, everything that is in a museum didn't happen.
It didn't
happen at all because it was moved to a museum.
Not only did it happen,
and it wasn't out in the open.
It got erased.
Erased. Everything in a museum must be erased.
Got erased.
Didn't happen whatsoever.
And if I see it in a museum, I'll be like, didn't happen. It's in a museum.
Fake news.
It's fake news. It's gone from my mind. Since it's not in my face, it's gone, and it never happened.
But see, so why do people keep making that straw man argument that nobody is making? Nobody is making the case that history should be forgotten. What people are saying is that certain history shouldn't be celebrated. And you notice how Mike Pence used that word, celebrated? He used the word celebrated when talking about our history and our monuments and stuff. Because he said more monuments, not less.
But it was like
celebrated.
He was talking about it very superficially. Like we need to talk about like the people who these monuments are supposed to represent and those attitudes that that monument represents because of the person it was built for.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like
for him to use the word celebrate though.
How can
that's monuments are celebrated. They are honored. There is some semblance of pride with them. And he said it correctly. Celebrate. So what does that mean for the monuments that feature Robert E. Lee? Confederate soldiers, other Confederate. What does that mean for them? Aren't they too celebrated by people? Actual people?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that say something about the people? About the attitude in this country?
Well, I mean...
and that people fight to keep them up?
So you're saying like if I don't know, I celebrated, I don't know, let's say a terrorist that attacked America. If I celebrated what would that mean about me?
What would that mean about you, man? Because you would have some kind of mentality. You have to have a certain type of mentality.
What if I celebrated maybe a collection of pedophiles? What if I celebrated that? What would that say about me? Wouldn't that say something about me? I would have to, or a rapist. If I celebrated rapists, what would they call me? A rape apologist, right? And they would say, there's some sort of mentality that I have that kind of runs parallel to these rapists, or whatever. You can fill in the blank with anybody.
But you mentioned on an earlier show that we did, you mentioned that what was the U.S. attitude when Saddam Hussein's statue was taken down?
Yo, like all the news was showing that statue coming down, pulling down. Everybody was cheering. They started talking about it's the beginning of a new era, and it's a symbolic. It was a symbolic gesture.
Beginning of a new era.
Yup.
Okay. All right. Beginning of a new era to move past that very uncomfortable.
So at that point, we are fully aware and fully understood and fully embraced kind of how symbolic that was,
right?
To move on,
not to live in the past, because they could have easily just left it up and let them remember a dark and ugly past, right? They could have easily left it up, but no, there was a big effort to take it down, and there was celebration, a word that Mike Pence just used, celebrate. So that tells you right there, monuments, statues, they are meant to be celebrated.
So he told on himself.
Yes, he did.
He told on himself.
He just told on himself.
Okay.
So and we see a lot of argument about this subject too, about how people say, well, look, what's it gonna do? I mean, is it gonna improve your life?
You know what?
Is it gonna do anything? And they say, well, it's not really an important issue. It doesn't really mean anything.
You know what? People.
So why are you fighting so hard for it?
People are full of crap.
Why are they fighting so hard for it? If it doesn't mean anything to them, then why are you putting up a stance?
Because they're full of crap. Those people understand how we kind of shape our society and form bonds with each other,
right? And
kind of actually form bonds with our ideology and our attitude. Like now, you people automatically now become dumb, as if they don't understand what symbols are. Like they don't go to church and there's no symbols there. There's no cross. There's no fish. There's no Jesus. The symbols don't mean anything. They don't mean anything.
Right.
Like
there's nothing behind it.
What about?
Substance.
I'll use a perfect example. Corporations. Corporations put like hours and hours upon hours into signs and logos and to symbols. Why? Because they know it means something and they know the customer thinks it means something. So I don't know why people play dumb and act like symbols don't mean anything, because they live by that every single day. Even when you're young, you live by that. Even when we're developing, we attach ourselves to symbols for various reasons. Like when you're young, you may have like a teddy bear, you may have a blanket, you may have a favorite this, but it helps your development.
Does the American flag mean something?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. The red means this and the white means this and the blue. So we are always kind of developing our attitude and our worldview by symbols. So these people acting as if symbols don't, like, nah, they're full of crap.
Well, hold up. How about the Star Spangled Banner? Isn't that a symbol that Colin Kaepernick and other players dared to kneel or sit for? And do you remember the uproar? Do you remember the uproar? That's a symbol, right?
Yeah.
And people were all up in arms about this symbol of what? Pride, nationalism, the military, and how dare you take a stance against
that's
it, right?
Another one. Military.
Yeah, the military.
What happens like when you achieve something? You get like a bar, you get some sort of a shoulder lapel.
Right.
Symbols.
But see, these are all things that are celebrated.
Exactly. And it kind of shows how we are empowered by symbols, and we use symbols every day. So for people to act like they're like above like kind of symbology is bullcrap, and they know exactly what they're doing. They
all need to come down. If this nation is truly going to move forward, it can't move forward just like we were talking about with Iraq. They thought it was very prudent to get rid of that statue, right?
You know,
to move forward.
You know what's funny? It's
for
like,
progress.
And then, like, sometimes it takes issues like this. It's funny, and without knowing some of the biggest, I guess, people who are against the monuments coming down will.
Oh yeah.
What they'll do is they'll say, so. Like, so-and-so owns slaves and they're on our money, so you still use money. Should we change the money too? I say, oh, so now, all of a sudden, all of the things we used to bring up about kind of the forefathers and what they represent.
Now it's relevant.
Now you want to bring it up. We've been talking about that actually for years, and what they do represent and what they did represent, I guess, in the founding of this country, and who wasn't a part of that. We were always talking about that, and kind of that was brushed off.
All men are created equal.
All men are created equal. We was like, we addressed kind of the contradiction of that. We addressed the slavery issue. We addressed the imperialism, the colonialism. We address all that stuff all the time. And what do we get? Shoved to the side.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden,
don't want to pay attention to it.
They want to pay attention. Now you bring it up.
Yeah,
and
because they're running from the truth. They're running from it.
But guess what? I was like, okay, Yeah, I was like, what do you think I'm gonna say? Oh no! I'm be like, yes,
of course,
of course,
yeah.
And
like, oh, you want everything.
I was like, well, maybe we'll get to that point.
Yeah,
and maybe we will, maybe we won't.
I saw somebody talking about, well, this wasn't an issue under Barack Obama. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was an issue under George W. Bush too. It's been an issue. You just weren't paying attention. Some new polls that come out. New polls have been released. New polls. So new polls have come out. There's a new Quinnipiac poll that was released Wednesday. About 1,500 respondents. 59% of voters believe that President Trump's decisions since Charlottesville his decisions and behavior have encouraged white supremacist groups. 59%.
But you know what Trump and his supporters would say? They would say, "Oh, they're just listening to the fake news." But I'm like, wait a second.
1,500 people?
But not even 50. And also, again, even without that poll, remember we talked about this earlier. Even Republicans.
Yep.
Even Republicans. So you have to create it as a partisan issue, so you don't take responsibility. He doesn't take responsibility, and his supporters don't take responsibility for their support of him. Just to make everything, oh, that's fake media, or they only believe that because they were watching the media. No, I was like, they are following everything he says.
And because his words were on full display, so it's not fake news. It came from you. 35% said he has had no impact on these hate groups. So 59% said he's encouraged them. 35% say no impact.
Speaking of no impact, I can probably surmise that those 35% don't know that he took funding away from.
What are you talking about?
Took funding away from the Life After Hate.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
So they think that he's
that
not
grant
doing
that
enough.
Obama had
Already, they probably already think
hate.
that. I wonder how much that those numbers will go up.
See, but that's not national news. You know. See, that's not national news. That was cable news that had shared that. Samantha Bee had one of the gentlemen that's a part of Life After Hate. And what Life After Hate is an organization of former neo-Nazis, former KKK members, just former white people that were in white hate groups. And they have transformed their lives. They're not about hate anymore, and they're trying to educate other people that are in that life that this is not the way.
And they're trying to educate everybody,
on how to deal with
them.
Right.
Yeah.
So they got a grant. I believe it was $400,000. Yeah, they got a grant because look, they're putting in some work, right? So they got a grant when President Obama was in office. Now 2 weeks later, Donald Trump took office. Took that money away.
So, like I said, I think we kind of briefly addressed this. Like sometimes when you add a few things together, you can kind of develop an idea about something or someone. So with that fact,
there's just checks
everywhere. So you see that, right? So he takes the funding away from a nonprofit group that seeks to help former white supremacists reform their lives,
and in doing so help society,
and actually help them help society.
Right.
He does that, and remember what he said about terrorism and how he's going to not focus on domestic terrorism. So who commits the most domestic terrorism? So when we're talking about causing division and people causing division and people creating division, he blames it on the media. He blames it on the media. But on the media. But if he was really truly interested in healing the divide and healing the division, why would he take funds away from those that try to heal hate? Interesting that a lot of Republicans will blame Obama for stirring all this stuff up, but
race baiter in charge.
Race baiter in chief.
Yeah.
I didn't honestly, like, he kind of did this on the low key.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know anything about it. Like I said, it wasn't national news.
Yeah. But anyway.
That's not the most damning number on that poll, though, the Quinnipiac poll, though. So again, 59% of voters say they believe Trump's decisions and behaviors have encouraged white supremacist groups. 35% says he has no impact on them. A measly 3% said that he has discouraged these groups.
Let's deal with redneck economics, because I don't want to wait to the end, because this is this topic we're talking about now. It says, why are people arguing over statues of dead racists when there are actually living racists in our government? That's what we're arguing about. The reason why they continue to cherish these monuments and these statues is because they harbor kind of racist feelings and racist sentiments and racist ideologies. So actually the point, we're not actually talking about statues. Now, there are people who are superficially just talking about the statues, but we're not. We're actually connecting the statues to remnants of an ideology that's left over in a lot of the politicians that are alive today.
And it's not just politicians.
Not just politicians. A lot of
it's
people
everywhere. Right.
So that's how I'll answer that question, because we're not actually concerned with just the monuments. Our concern lies in what the monuments represent to these people and how that affects how, I guess, what kind of legislation they approve of, and how that affects how they see the people in this country, and which is very important.
But think about that, man. 3%. 3% of people said that 3% of 1,500 people said that he has discouraged these groups. Do you know how hard it is? Do you know how hard it is to get to 3%? Do you know how hard it is to have 3% say that you know how bad that is? There was an article. Well, actually, I saw that there was a survey done last year. There was a survey done just last year where 21% of people said that the sun rotates around the earth. Okay. The sun rotates around the earth, not the other way around, not the earth rotating around the sun. 21% of people said that. It's incorrect. It's incorrect. But 21% of people said that. I guarantee you, if you polled some people about if the world was flat or round, I think you would get more than 3%. I think you would get more than 3%. Because we've seen even some athletes have talked about how they think the world is flat.
Yeah.
In recent days. I mean, like last year or earlier this year. So to get 3% of people to say that you have discouraged hate groups, my gosh, man, you must not be doing anything.
I think one thing we need to do is address this whole idea of something being a distraction. Let's just say, let's ask those Latinx people that were being scooped up whether, Sheriff Joe Arpaio is a distraction. You know what I'm saying? Let's ask some people that have been put in jail and profiled, whether it's a distraction. Is it a distraction for them? Like, the reason why these problems persist, whether it be racism, xenophobia, sexism, misogyny, all these things, the reason why they exist is because we live in a broken culture. And these problems are going to persist until we, I guess, address our bigger problem. And until we do, these little problems we consider distractions are going to always exist. This is just kind of fallout. And I think it's interesting that when people talk about the elites and people who are at the top, they act like they're robots. And people who are elite and people who are at the top don't have ideologies of their own. Like, why is there this assumption that there are people who are elite and people who are at the top who kind of control everything? Why is this their assumption as if they don't have ideologies of their own? What, like, are they just robots and we're just the ones who are bickering, or do they kind of create atmospheres to fulfill ideologies that they have? So when we talk about the elite, or we talk about the deep state, or we talk whatever it is, people who control banking interest, why is it that why is there an assumption that they don't have attitudes? Because the way I see people talking about it, they're talking about it as if like the attitudes and the divisions that are created, as if humans don't create their own divisions. Like I've said before, like when people talk about they create the division. I don't believe that. I believe they just exploit divisions that are already there. You know what I'm saying? Like I think they can exaggerate it, but like I just can't put all the onus on some group we cannot see and all the manipulating we're doing. Because my thing is, if you already have a commitment to see people as equals, you can't be divided. Am I right? If you already have a commitment to other human beings that you're going to see them as equals, nothing is going to divide you. Nothing on TV you see, nothing someone says to you, because you're going to be grounded in that commitment. So I think like there's a potential for the political revolution to kind of come back to this, like the same place, if we are constantly, I guess, displacing all of human evil onto like this like elite entity and not actually taking responsibility for the world we create. And that's the danger I see in always talking about they are doing that and they are doing this, as if you can't go within your own damn family right now. Think about your own family, whether it be your immediate family or your extended family, or go to work, or amongst friends and acquaintances. Aren't there rapists? Aren't there pedophiles? Aren't there narcissists? Aren't there people who desire to create conflict and civil war? Aren't there narcissists? All these things exist within the larger body of humanity, and there's enough people within humanity currently that there's enough people who have these ideas, I guess, I don't know how to put it, but for them to manifest in higher places, and we are shown ourselves. Maybe that's just me, and maybe I have a metaphysical view of it, but I'm really getting sick and tired of the white scapegoating and that's what I see it as. When I hear they are dividing us, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like whitewashing and white people scapegoating when they say they. Because if I'm going to talk about class division and class warfare, everybody's like, oh, that's fine. Nobody says that's just, they're just watching us bicker. People are still fighting for, class equity. Am I to say, no, we shouldn't fight with that because that's a distraction. They're just trying to keep us divided. No, there's people actually working to create this, I guess, system of equality, and actually regular people actually buy into it and create the divisions themselves because they're not grounded. So I'm not going to blame the elites for humans not being grounded in their commitment to see each other as equals. And we are essentially walking around with these horrible traits. We are walking around with these horrible traits and acting as if somehow humanity is all innocent of all this stuff. It's all the elites. It's the deep state. And we're just being manipulated. I was like, I was doing like reading.
Hold on, man. You trailing though.
No, I was doing some reading. I was saying this is a specific event. And there was an event in Lamar, South Carolina. I forgot. It was like in the 70s. It's like when schools were being desegregated. It was 150 to 200 white men and women. And they attacked 3 busfuls of black school children. And they overturned one of the buses on its side. Why? Why'd they do that? Was somebody like, were they paid agitators? Were they paid agitators? What created that hate within inside of them to make them do that? Was the CIA running some like brainwashing experiment that went horribly wrong and just, implanted the idea to hate black people? So I think like when we're talking about these events, yeah, I wouldn't deny that, some of these people are agitators and some of these people are paid, but that doesn't make the issue false. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
now, but you were talking about dividing though.
Yeah.
Now there's a part of the survey that was talking about being divided, and twice as many people, 62% to 31%, believe that Trump is in effect dividing the country rather than, you know, rallying it together, trying to unite the country. And that goes totally opposite to what he was saying before he came into office. You know, he did an interview with, I believe, the editorial board of the Washington Post, and he was talking about how he wanted to be the cheerleader for the nation. He thought Obama was going to be a great cheerleader, but that didn't happen, and he thought he was really going to be able to close that racial divide, because we are right now more divided than ever before, which is, I guess that's kind of a luxury of every generation to do that. I think I heard that before. Every generation pretty much thinks that, oh, we have it worse than any other time in history. But in the 60s was much worse than this. 1860s, much worse than this.
Slave rebellions.
Exactly. So
lynching period.
Yeah. So, but according to this survey, he's doing more to divide us than to unite us. And another poll that I saw was a public policy poll. Policy polling. Now this was interesting. This was about his followers. This was about his voters, people that support Trump. This was a staggering statistic, right? So it said that 45% of his supporters would rather see Jefferson Davis as the president than Barack Obama. Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederacy. 45% of Trump voters in this poll would rather see Jefferson Davis as the president than Barack Obama. That just gives you a certain feeling about what his supporters are like. It's not every one of them. I'm not going to say it's every one of them. And of course, this is a small sample size as well. But it does give you a little bit of a view into the mindset of that Trump voter that believes that, man, we ain't really cool with black people. We're not really cool with any other race.
And okay, and then two, like it
that's
doesn't
a part of
and it
that
doesn't
Trump.
matter. It doesn't matter if those kind of ideas have been created for us. That's all. That's my point. Like we need to get out of this idea that we're just so high-minded, you know, as people who are, you know, trying to transverse out of like this very superficial, duplicitous kind of two-party system and talk about what's going on with COINTELPRO, what's going on with the CIA and the NSA and all this technology they're using, you know, to track us. Yes, we can all talk about that, but like we can all be high and mighty. But if we can't like actually like deal with people where they are, all that shit does not matter, because we still have people living in that kind of that falsity, that false universe, like living on this like that superficial idea of race. Living like there's people who actually exist on that plane. You're not going to be able to get through to those people because they're still dealing with that. And for people to just say no, you know, you can't take people from like kindergarten to like studying for a PhD. You can't do it. We can't do it. So you kind of have to address people where they are and bring them out of that, bring them out of that mind state, so they can actually deal with the bigger things like big banks and the Federal Reserve and the intelligence apparatus and, you know, the war machine. They're not going to be able to deal with any of that if they're constantly dealing with, making sure gay people don't get married, or making sure these monuments stay up.
Well,
or,
see,
or
you
racism. Can't deal with any of that stuff.
You can't separate the hate.
You cannot
from
separate
Trump,
it. You can't separate the hate from Trump.
Whether or not the man himself is a neo-Nazi, whether or not he is racist, he sure acts like he apologizes for them, and it's been like that ever since the very start of his campaign. So we can't act like what Trump represents is anything different. We can't act like that.
And we can't act like he doesn't use that stuff to increase, I guess, people's appreciation for the American machine. Because if you just listen to all of his rhetoric, it's all about like increasing like I guess the appreciation for this big American, you know, machine that uses the military, I guess, to acquire power across the globe. All he is using is those divisions to kind of make America great again. That's what he's doing. So it is, in some way, it is connected to the big apparatus that everybody says we should be talking about. But again, if you want to talk about that, that's cool. But if you want to bring people out, I guess, of this kind of the common way we deal with politics and talk about politics, then you can't be so high and mighty to act like every fucking conversation is a damn distraction. Because you have to acknowledge where people are. And until you get that, talking about COINTELPRO, talking about the deep state, talking about the NSA, talking about the intelligence apparatus, talking about any alphabet agency, or talking about how they manipulate us, won't go anywhere. You only appeal to a small group of people. See, we can talk about that stuff too. We can talk about that stuff too, but it's not just talking.
It bogs down conversations when that's all they can talk about.
Exactly. So we have people that are still there, so we kind of have to kind of deal with those issues. Like I said, we kind of got to bring people out of that. It's kind of like Santa Claus is not real. We're talking about issues that create divisions, issues that aren't real, societal constructs. Santa Claus is not real, is it? Santa Claus is not real, but yet that societal construct like dictates people's actions all year round. All year round. It creates products, it creates activities, it creates decorations, it creates an economy, it creates all these things. People go to the mall to line up to see this societal construct. So you see the power of societal constructs, and to act like they're not there and they're a distraction. Yes, they are, but distractions are real. That's the problem. You have people who are buying into the distraction. And if you're calling the distraction out, then you have to deal with the distraction and all of its elements.
Well, this dude is a distraction right here. This dude right here, Christopher Cantwell. He's a distraction. Now, everybody may not be familiar with this guy, but this is a neo-Nazi. He was at the rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. He was on video talking about Jews will not replace us, and white lives matter. Vice did a piece on him, and after that piece, he shared a Facebook video, the clip you just saw, where he was crying, crying because he believed that the police were out to get him, that he was about to be arrested, and he didn't know why. He was saying that he tried to keep it peaceful when that wasn't true. But nobody really knew what the charge was going to be. I mean, that wasn't shared. We just knew that
he was being like sought after,
targeted. Yeah, because he's the one that shared that. So, but it was confirmed that on Wednesday night he turned himself into the police, and he turned himself into the police. And this is his mugshot now, courtesy of TMZ. Oh, so sad. So sad. Look rough. Looking rough right there.
Looks like Al Bundy lost weight or something.
He's looking rough. But yeah. So he was denied bail on Thursday, and they're going ahead and seeking felony charges of using illegal tear gas and malicious bodily injury during those weekend clashes, because they're saying that he threw something. I can't remember what they said they threw at him, but he also pepper sprayed somebody. And his defense is that he's saying that was the nicest thing that he could do, because he said he had pepper spray in one hand and a flashlight in the other hand, and there was a guy coming at him, and he didn't want to just clobber him in the teeth with the flashlight, so he pepper sprayed him. That's his side of the story. Obviously, the police have another side. That's why they charged him, and the judge didn't give him bail either. So Sad story. I'm so sad for this guy. Little violin. Yeah. I'm not sad for this guy. Nah.
Okay, he's wasting his life.
Yeah, he is.
He's wasting his life on a distraction.
On a distraction.
He's wasting his life on a distraction.
He's a hateful guy, you know. And there's a bunch of his tweets. He was disparaging Heather Heyer, the woman that was killed. He said a lot of hateful things. This is not a good guy. And yeah, if he's guilty of this, see ya. Peace.
I want to be in.
Yeah, straight up. But that's about it. Now is the time. If anybody wants to call in, the number is 803-450-0698.
Yeah, y'all got a few minutes.
Yeah, if anybody wants to call in, if you have a question or a comment about anything that we've discussed today, feel free to call in. I do want to give a little shout out to a few people that have become patrons on our through our Patreon account. And those people are, and I'm gonna bust these names up pretty bad because I do not know how to pronounce these. Do you know how to? Do you know?
Why? But the last one is good. But
yeah, the last one is good. So I'll start with that one. Ann Wooster, thank you very much for supporting us. Leanne?
No, that's yeah.
Leanne?
Right. Yeah.
It could be Leanne.
Yeah, that looks like
we've seen her a bunch of times though in the chat, and we've seen her on Facebook a lot of times. Leanne Wolfsong, thank you very much for supporting us. And Gear? I have no idea. I hope I didn't bust it up too bad, but Randon, again, thank you too for supporting us and helping us do things bigger and better. You know, we definitely do need support to get to where we want to be.
Yes, sir.
And you know, increase the quality. Hopefully we can get by the next broadcast. Hopefully we can broadcast a little bit of this on Facebook. I don't know what the problem was, but it surely didn't work. Let me look at the chat to see if anybody has. They're in deep conversation, it looks like.
Yeah. That's telling, but I can't follow. I'm trying to follow the conversation.
Jenny Lynn is talking. I assume she's talking about Trump. He's clearly so insecure, cowardly, and without purpose. It's just sad. Or maybe she could be talking about Christopher Cantwell too. That would that would fit too. Yeah, it could be either or.
Hold on, who said we can walk and chew gum at the same time? Says we can walk, chew gum, and juggle 3 gas-powered chainsaws with rubber bands on the triggers. I believe all of us are capable of great things.
We can have many conversations.
We can have many conversations at one time. We don't have to keep the conversation at a particular locale.
Mm-hmm. I had a disagreement with somebody on Facebook about the we were on the last video we did. We talked about it was about Trump.
Thanks, Marsha. Thanks, Marsha Smith. Appreciate it.
It was about Trump and the IP addresses that that the Trump administration is not requesting, but they've ordered that the company, the DreamHost, that they fork over 1.3 million IP addresses of the people that visited this one website that was organizing protests for Donald Trump's inauguration. So, excuse me, I was having an argument with somebody because I guess by looking at what we said about it, this goes back to what you were saying. They were saying that, look, everybody's putting it on Trump, right? But you're not paying attention to the deep state. The deep state is what's controlling everything. That's the way everything has always been. Okay, so this guy is pretty much a robot. And my response was, look, okay, hold on. So you're saying that Donald Trump is in fact a robot, is being made to go after people that are objecting to him personally, are personally objecting to him and his administration.
Or is it they are using Donald Trump, who already has that personality type?
And that's what you see, because Donald Trump has already showcased that personality type throughout his whole campaign, and he's still showing that
throughout his whole life.
Yes. So if he has shown that the whole way through, then what makes you think that Donald Trump himself was not hurt and feeling some kind of insecurity about this controversy with the inauguration, and then he didn't feel he didn't feel the need to be like, you know what, I'm going after those people because I'm spiteful and I'm petty and I'm childish.
It's easy to just believe we have people up here and then people down here and then people up here, people down here and then people up here. I was like, there's levels to this stuff, and we have human beings making decisions every day based on the level they're at, to kind of oppress people and to keep a watchful eye on people. Human beings are making decisions. Are you going to tell me that the deep state creates all of our negative human traits now? Are you going to tell me that?
Well,
no.
They're in control of everything.
They're in control of everything. No, they're not. They're not in control of our traits. And like I said, there's levels to it. It's not like we are here and then all the bad people are way up there, as if there's nobody in between, as if there's not ladders and people making decisions based on their own their ambitions and their own seeking of power. These are human traits.
But see, we've already known, man. I mean, we've already known that big money, big business, big interests control American politics. We've known that for years. I mean, it's not anything that's new. So of course there's a certain amount of controlling that goes on because money is very influential. So of course the people with the money, the big money, whatever interest they have, their interests are going to be protected. They're going to, I mean, the politicians are going to make sure they do for them because they're the ones that are paying them. We're not paying them. I don't have any money to give to them at all. So they don't want to look out for my interests. We know that. But it doesn't make it so that the politician themselves or herself, it doesn't make it that they don't have ambitions too, or that they don't have a personality, or they don't have certain human downfalls that will be exhibited by what they do. It doesn't always mean that somebody's in the back, inside their back, you know, pushing buttons and making them do certain things. No, a lot of it is on that certain politician.
They understand how humans work, and humans don't understand.
Well, they are humans themselves.
Exactly. But they have more access to information, science, and stuff like that. And a typical human being, you know, a typical human being doesn't understand themselves. So again, it's like we have to kind of work to keep ourselves grounded so we are not dragged into all these unnecessary, you know, kind of thought processes. And so I think it's important. I just don't want people to get caught in the cycle of deflection. That's all. I just don't want people to get caught in the cycle of deflection, because what's going to happen at the end of the day? What's going to have to happen at the end of the day if, let's see, the power apparatus that was once there goes away? What if that goes away tomorrow? There's going to be people that have to be healed from the trauma of all this stuff that's been going on for, I don't know, past 10 centuries or however long, how we got up to this point. So if I guess the elites disappear tomorrow, what would that mean? It would mean a lot, but it'll actually amount to nothing, because we still have people that need to be healed, don't we? We still have mentalities that need to be healed left over, even if the elites disappear.
Well,
it's not
actually,
like we're just scot-free.
Well, actually, it wouldn't. I don't even know if it would mean even a tiny amount of that, because there would be new elites. And exactly. The system is what the problem is.
Exactly.
It's not these specific elites, because I think we were talking about some other time too. Like, if Hillary Clinton was not Hillary Clinton,
there would be another Hillary Clinton.
Yes. The problem is the system and what is allowed to happen. It's not Hillary Clinton. It's not really Donald Trump. There's a ton of those,
and there's a bunch of people who are in agreement. It's a societal agreement at each particular level. Like I said, you can't think of it as like everyone's down here and then you got those at the top. It's a lot of in between. It's a lot of go betweens.
Q DeMayo says presidents in this era are just figureheads. That's true, and then that's not true. I mean, it can go both ways. A president can only do so much because, of course, policy has to go through Congress. But they do have a lot of influence, and they do talk to other world leaders, too. So they are pretty powerful people.
And I guarantee you would say they were powerful if they called out the apparatus that we say is corrupt, the process that we say is corrupt. The entire system, like at its lowest common denominator, I guarantee you would say, oh, that president has power. I guarantee you would say that then, just by the sheer words of that president and calling out this kind of system that's being manipulated.
Even in 2017, yeah, we do have more eyes on what's going on. More people are aware of the society that we live in the world situation. But the office of the president is still respected because it is the president. I mean, that hasn't changed. Yes, a lot more people are waking up, but still, the office of president still has its respect and its influence. So that's why when Bernie Sanders was running for president, and he said, I remember an interview that he did with Chris Matthews, and Chris Matthews was like, okay, well, how are you going to get any of this junk done? I don't believe in it. I mean, how could you actually pass universal health care and free tuition at public colleges and universities? How could you actually get that done? And he said, the power of the purse, pretty much. He said that he would talk to the people, and the people would get it done. The people would have to stand up and demand that Congress gets it done. And if they don't, they would get them out of office. That's how it's done. So that is the influence of a president. And Donald Trump does have that influence. He's just using it.
For his own personal gain. His own personal gain.
Exactly.
And we have to understand that members of Congress, regardless of how much they have, they got corporate strings attached to them, they get something out of it. They get something out of it, and them getting something out of it is enough for them to kind of like, scuttlebutt around their their responsibilities. We can't act like people don't have personal interests, as if they're just controlled and they're robots. They have a personal interest, and our personal interests are exploited. That's all I'm saying. And until we understand that, then like talking about the elites is not really going to get us anywhere,
because it's not talking about the problem.
It's
about talking about a problem, but you're not talking about the entire situation.
And I guess there's enough.
You can't talk about a mystery figure.
Aren't there people who work for the elites?
Yeah.
Again, at each level, there's somebody who works for it, who works for the elites at each level and makes the decision to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like people make the decision to join the military. You know what I'm saying? People make that decision. I know sometimes it's done in very extenuating circumstances.
Right.
I'm not saying it isn't. But again, just like how we have a lot of people who support Trump unconditionally, why can't there be that same level of unconditional allegiance when it comes to imperialist power structures? Because, if you look at when, the first explorers came over here, we call them explorers, but they really weren't explorers. They were, colonizers. They kind of, fooled these people into believing that they were a part of this elite group when they weren't. And they, gave them a little bit of tokens here and there to, secure, their cooperation in building this whole empire. So again, it's always an agreement that's being made by the masses and relinquishing their ability to be equals. They just rather see themselves as a part of the elite class. They want to be rich. That's how Trump ran? Remember he said, when I become president, I'm going to make everybody so rich that your heads will spin.
Well, it was the big con, yeah.
I'm gonna make everybody rich, so that that's sold to people. So there's this attitude amongst a lot of people that they want to be a part of this elite class. That's the only way this system can sustain itself, if there's enough people who buy into this whole, like, I'm gonna let the money trickle down. I'm gonna let these businessmen do it for us so I can become rich. That's where we lost like all of our control right there, because we bought into the system.
Well, and you know what? It's not only people that want to be a part of the elite as well. It's people that don't want to be on the bottom ring as well. So take a person like Donald Trump, you know, and we've talked about how he talks about Mexicans, how he's talked about women, how he's talked about black people. Okay, how he's talked about Muslims, right? I see the same thing if you go back towards slavery, right? Because if you want to look at the situation, what was real was that it wasn't like the majority of white people that owned slaves.
No.
But the majority of white people supported slavery, in the South at least, right? Now, why did they do that? It wasn't benefiting them monetarily, but it prevented them from being the lowest rung on the ladder.
That's called what's called the wages of whiteness. That's called the wages of whiteness right there. And you know, I don't know. We could talk all day about this, man.
Yeah, we could. Nobody is calling, so you know, if anybody wants to call, you got a few seconds left. We got to get going. But I do want to thank everybody for being here. It was a good talk that we had. Next show will be next Tuesday. Anybody watching the fight this weekend? Anybody watching the fight? I know everybody knows the fight.
I was invited, but I still don't know if I'm going.
Yeah, I don't know.
And when we talk about this, is they're having it at some movie theaters.
Man, they are having it at movie theaters across the country. Movie theaters, and I believe it's going to cost $42 to see this event, Mayweather versus Conor McGregor.
Theaters? That should tell you it's a
boy. They are cashing in. They are cashing in on this spectacle. I'm not very interested in it. If anybody has seen a Floyd Mayweather fight, I think it's going to be a Floyd Mayweather fight. He's arguably the best defensive boxer in history. He says he's gonna go after him. I'll have to see that for myself, or maybe actually I'm not gonna see it for myself because I don't think I'm gonna get it. Well, no, hold on. I know I'm not gonna get it. I don't know if I'm gonna see it or not. I ain't paying $100 for this. No way, no how. I follow it on ESPN. Right on my phone.
I'd rather just like sit in the parking lot of Buffalo Wild Wings with some binoculars, so I can see the TVs outside.
Conor McGregor is a UFC fighter. He is not a boxer. And he's going against one of the best boxers in history.
What is that, Sandra Lee? If everyone is elite, everyone is equal. And if everyone becomes equal, no government can... See, okay, all right, Sandra. All right. Like, again... we need to like be very clear on terminology and concepts. Number one, like it seems as if we have taken language and I guess attributed some sort of connotation to it. Certain language attributed a connotation and just thrown it out. Like, so when you say government, what does that mean? What does that mean? Everything requires a government. You go to a household and the government body is the parents. And they regulate everything in that house. They are the governing body. You go to a school, there's a governing body. Isn't there not? There's a set of people who kind of have to regulate the administratively. You go to a business or a corporation. It is a government. It is a bureaucracy. And bureau just means there's a group of people that set forth policy and standards so that the business can run. So the term government has such a negative connotation to where it doesn't make sense. Set something up. I don't care if it's a nonprofit. I don't care if it's a community. I don't care what it is. you're going to have certain people doing certain things.
But I don't think she's saying that no government will exist.
No. But I'm just saying, like, government won't control. But that's the thing. There is going to be a certain level of control you have as a civilization. That's all I'm saying. That's not the point. The point I was making was there's going to be a certain level of control, or whether it be some sort of restrictions or whether it be some sort of bylaws that a civilization has to abide by. So when people say no government controlling you, as if somehow like there's a such thing called absolute freedom. Nah, I was like, there are certain like governmental elements that are designed to make a civilization work stronger. So there's always going to be some level of control. There's always going to have to be some level of, I guess, something, whatever you say, of personal liberties that you are giving up if you live in a large society. So I don't think the answer.
Well, that's not our society, because we live in capitalism. So there's no way that anybody, well, there's no way a large amount of people could really even be elite anyways, because the system is not set up for that. This American dream that is always sold from the time we are little kids until the time that we leave school, it doesn't exist, because for the American dream to be a reality, that would mean that everybody could be an entrepreneur. Everybody could become wealthy. And we know that's not reality in America, because who's going to be the worker? Who's going to be on the lowest part of that totem pole?
And yeah, that's what
who's going to be earning the least?
Jenny Lynn said capitalism is the devil.
Yeah.
I kind of believe that, but guess what? Somebody created that system. And if the mindset that created that system, or the mindsets that exist, like what kind of mindset creates capitalism? What kind of mind creates that?
Control.
Exactly.
Control.
So therefore, all those other little societal rifts, all those apertures that exist in our society come along with that. Not separate or apart, they come along with that, because you can't have a mind that creates a system of capitalism without having a mind that creates a system of division. So it all comes at once. It's not just like capitalism and all the problems exist. No, it's if the person's mind, or if the group of people's minds are collectivized to create such a system, then all those other apertures and all those other divisions and all those societal distractions, whatever we call them, will be created at the very same time. It's not like it's kind of hard. It's like thinking about like it's a Big Bang type thing when it's really not like that.
See, capitalism, to be honest, I can't even say that I'm like just against capitalism in all forms. It's capitalism with a few additions here in America. So, you know, so because it's not just capitalism. Like, I have no problem with somebody that's wealthy. I have no problem with somebody that created something, that worked hard for it, and they achieved great wealth because they were innovative and they put work in, and they were able to achieve success. I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is the quality of life here in America for some. Okay, if you're an American and you have a job, you should be able to feed yourself, your family. You should be able to clothe yourself. You should be able to house yourself and your family. You should be able to go to the doctor whenever you need to. Those are the things that need to happen. That can happen within capitalism. It can, but it doesn't, because money and politics is at play. It happens because the rate of our minimum wage, the rate of pay, has not grown with inflation. Things like that hold us back from really reaching a society where everybody can at least have some dignity in the way they live their life. Maybe they don't attain that massive wealth and have a great big mansion in Beverly Hills or wherever else in the country. Maybe that doesn't happen. But there's some dignity in being able to afford the things that you need and having a roof over your head and taking care of your family. There's some pride in that.
Oh, you know what I think that all that what you just said connects to what Colgian and said that's why love must be a factor in government.
No doubt.
Because again, that connects
respect
to
from
dignity.
Yeah.
If you don't,
humankind,
see, there you go. But like basically, what you were getting to was the fact that we live. See, I can't say we live in a system. We live in we do live in a system, but essentially it's about people being exploited, and exploitation creates a situation where people don't have dignity.
Right.
So that's a society without love. But again, like,
so it's not just capitalism per se. Yeah, because of all those other things that are at play, capitalism is horrible.
That's my thing. All those other things that are at play. Right. So when you introduce capitalism to a human population that's broken, that's what happens. Right. The reason why it's gotten so bad is because we live in a broken society.
Yeah.
And we have people who exploit that brokenness.
Right.
And we see
they use their money to exploit it. They have the ear of the people that make policy, that make the laws. And we don't have those ears. We're not in these politicians' pockets. Or they're not in ours, I should say.
So again, if kind of capitalism goes away, the incentive to, create systems of exploitation goes away.
Yeah, I mean, a lot would be, a lot could be done if we could end the bribery. You know, if we could end money in politics, that would go a long way, because then there would be some authenticity. There it is. To the way that our politicians actually govern. They would be actually looking out for the best interests of their constituents rather than who's paying them the most and offering them big cushy jobs when they leave office.
I agree, Jenny Lynn. I believe we must govern ourselves. No need or want for hierarchies. And I tell you, and again, I know y'all don't like this when I put the onus on human beings, but that is a high level of responsibility. And if you look at the type of societies we form, we tend to form societies that rely kind of displace their responsibility, like heavily religious societies. That puts the onus on something to, I guess, incline us to do something while we sit around. So yes, I do believe we should govern ourselves, but that takes a high level of responsibility. And are you sure that there are enough people that are willing to take that responsibility on? That's my question. That is such a true statement, but like, how many people are willing to take that responsibility on? You know what I'm saying? That is kind of what determines whether humanity is ready to manage and govern itself. It's one of those things where, you know what I'm saying? That will determine.
That would be a big responsibility.
That would be a big responsibility. And I think we have to acknowledge that there's a lot of people who, just like how they have they're not grounded in their commitment to see each other as equals, they're most likely not going to be grounded in that same commitment to manage themselves. That's why they just unconditionally follow politicians. So we have a lot of people who are just sheep. So what are we going to do about those people? Something's going to have to happen with those people. There's not going to be enough people participating in this self-management. Not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough people yet. You know what I'm saying? But
well, all right. I think we can leave it there and pick this up again on Tuesday. Again, thank you for everybody that has joined the program. We love doing this, and we love that we can, have a conversation. I would have loved somebody to give us a call so that we could, have some back and forth, hear some of the audience's comments. I do like reading your comments and you talking to each other, because this is a community environment. But next time, hopefully we can get somebody to actually make that call, be on the air with us, and share their feelings and their thoughts. So with that,
we out.
Everybody have a good weekend. Don't pay for that fight. $99.
No.
Do not pay for that fight.
If you're gonna go to fight, do it like I say, like sit outside of, some sort of, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Plus some of the outside screen, just take your binoculars.
I think you're sure to be let down if you pay $100 for that fight. Sure to be let down.
You're probably gonna be more disappointed than Pacquiao Mayweather.
Oh my gosh, and that was horrible. That was 12 rounds of nothing. So
12 rounds of rice cakes.
Nothing. Just moving around and punching the air, and it was nothing. But anyway, all right, we're out, people. Thank you for being here.